Hi, I'm Panda Hershey with Your Full Expression. Welcome to the November 1st Coffee and Charts Call, where we talk about the inevitable change that follows growth. And in the next 2 weeks, we'll be working with the feelings that people have about that change. But the good news is that the wheels are in motion and calmer minds are leading the way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, everyone, it is November. I cannot believe it. I don't know how we got here. It has been there are only 2 more months left in this year. And I still remember being at the beginning of this year thinking, holy cow, this is going to be quite a year. And it has been. And we are heading into some more interesting times, but I'm still excited about the possibilities for change and growth. And we're kind of hitting a turning point over the next couple weeks where I think we can really start making some progress and things will start to shift. So yeah, so let's just dive in. And I'm going to share my screen. And where are we right now? It is November 1st. And just to refresh your memory, we've got all of these planets over here in Scorpio. And last week, or earlier this week, it depends on how you look at it, Mercury passed up Mars. And that means Mercury is in the lead. We aren't leading with excitement and frustration anymore. We're kind of leading with, okay, this is what I'm thinking, and I can talk to the other person's feelings, but I'm a little more cool-headed about it, and hopefully everyone else is. And that will continue to be the case, that's how we'll lead. And it doesn't mean people won't get excited or frustrated, but it's more like, okay, well, you can do that, and I'm still moving ahead. And I think that is actually great energy for learning about what's important, about boundaries, about deciding what you're going to allow to affect you, to be important to you. And this will all be a practice, as it always is. So that is what's happening over here. Now, we've talked a lot about being opposite the growth that we're experiencing in our skills and our tools, because that's so much of what happened this summer. But the implications of growth are always change. And as we might recall back in May, we got to experience some of that shift. And that actually was what led us to our growth in the summer in the first place. So now we'll start to move into what happens as these planets, Mercury, Mars, and the Sun, start to be across from the Uranus portal and all that means. Okay, so that's where we're at. Let's start going. Hope that makes sense. Ask questions if it doesn't. So tomorrow it starts. Mercury is opposite the start of the Uranus portal at 19 degrees. Uranus is now at 21, but the portal starts at 19. And the Sun here is directly opposite Jupiter. So that may feel a bit like this realization of, okay, we agreed on this growth plan. And then it dawns on you or them, oh my gosh, if we're going to grow in that direction, that means there's going to be a shift in the way someone is showing up, maybe in responsibilities, maybe in, well, you can think of a whole host of things in your own life. And there may be some response to that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, yeah, there's a shift, but we're moving ahead anyway. Then Mars is opposite the end of the Jupiter portal. It's like finishing up, being excited, and maybe starting to dawn on them what is ahead, them and you. The next day, November 4th, Saturn stations direct at a half a degree of Pisces. And if you recall from the earlier part of this year, you were going through a lot and you found yourself surrounded by just a handful of people who really understood where things were going, how you felt, what you were going through. Maybe you were all working on a project or came up with some idea of, okay, we see where this is all going and we have to band together to make it through. And this is that same energy once again of reevaluating who is in that boat with you and deciding, are these still the right people? You know, I've gone through this growth phase. Do I need a different set of people? Have no new people shown up because of how I've grown? And who might I need to include or exclude going forward? This begins that process. Then, just a few days, Mercury has zipped through being opposite the Uranus portal. And it's quick discussions, right? Of, okay, yes, change is coming, and we're off to the races. Then Mars on November 8th is opposite the start of the Uranus portal at 19 degrees. And as you've been implementing some of the growth plan, starting to take action and have these discussions of what will be changing, there may be some real excitement like, oh my gosh, it's really going to happen. And that is awesome energy to feel around you, to feel that support, to offer that support for all the potential that lays ahead. And it's going to be about a 6-month process. We're talking about change that will be in place April and May of next year. And it can also be frustrating for people who like the status quo and don't want the change. So keep that in mind as well. And the sun opposite the end of the Jupiter portal, it's like, okay, I can feel what you're feeling and we're moving ahead. On the 11th, 11/11, Mars is directly opposite Uranus. So excitement, frustration. And the sun is opposite the start of the Uranus portal. So, you know, moving ahead towards that change. Mindful action where you are aware of the other person's feelings and you act appropriately without hopefully a lot of emotion. But notice that the sun is starting to catch up to Mars here, and this is a great thing. Then on the 13th, the sun is directly opposite Uranus. And then the 14th, Mars finishes moving through that portal. So it's kind of a flash in the pan. And then the 15th, the sun is opposite the end of that portal. And that is the day we meet again. So you can see how this all happens kind of in very quick succession over these next 2 weeks to deal with the inevitable change that is coming from the growth that will happen. And that's a lot of what our energy will be directed towards. So growth inevitably leads to change, but the implications of that growth and the change that comes may not have been clear to everyone until now. If they didn't think ahead to the ripple effects of all of that, it may come as a surprise with like real excitement, like, oh my God, so much is opening up to me because of this, or frustration if they or you don't want the change. And the good news is that there is time to adjust to the restructuring because the time frame is April to May for a number of reasons, but we'll talk about that later. Just keep in mind this doesn't have to happen overnight. If you're dealing with someone who is too excited and wants it to happen too quickly, you can help them take their time and help them pace themselves. And if someone is feeling frustrated about the change, then it's like, hey, let's make sure we incorporate the steps that make this feel more palatable, more easeful for you. And by phrasing it, by framing it as possibility and hope for everyone, you can minimize the obstacles to your progress and, frankly, to their progress. So, all of this energy is so related to let me move this over here to that Uranus portal. So from October 20th to November 3rd, so in just a couple days, Mars finishes up moving opposite the Jupiter portal, and it was exact on the 28th. So how are people close to you, the ones you have to work with, need to work with, want to work with, responding to the growth? How are you responding to their growth moving forward? And how strong is your response to their feelings? If that strong internal response has faded a little bit, it's because that Mercury has come out ahead and you can think a little more calmly, and that's a great thing. The sun will finish up its journey being opposite the Jupiter portal on the 7th, and it's exact tomorrow. So you can be assured that taking action towards that growth, towards that change, is happening. And then we move into this phase of working with the upcoming changes and kind of taking that big picture outlook of what is going to shift. And as this growth leads to the restructuring of how people's tools use their tools and skills and how they show up is shifting, what feelings need to be discussed. And hopefully this can be a calm thing. Then on the day that it is exact where Mercury is opposite Uranus, that's the day when Saturn starts to move forward. So as you get a sense of people's feelings, it can impact who is in that tight group with you. And then Mars will start to be opposite the Uranus portal, being exact on the 11th. Keep in mind that could be pretty emotion-filled day. And finally, the sun starts to move opposite that Uranus portal kind of at the same time. So these are all happening kind of, you're dealing with that change and how people feel about it all at once. And you all know in your own life whether there's more excitement or more frustration. And now you're a little prepared for that. So tips for thriving, quite simple. It's like growth is leading to change and the wheels are in motion. There is no stopping the train. Anticipating the resulting ripple effects are something you can do for yourself as well as for the people around you so that you minimize the obstacles to the growth or the progression. And this is a great time to just begin to discern who is and who should be in that boat with you, working closely because you're all on the same page. Okay, well, this was pretty quick, and I hope that all made sense. But any questions? Does this resonate for people, for anyone? Can they see that coming up in their lives? Okay. That's a thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, I hope that you find the excitement through seeing the potential, because growth opens up opportunities. And if you see it and you're able to help the others around you see it, just makes your life easier and frankly makes their life easier, even if they can't quite wrap their brains around it yet. But that perspective makes all the difference in the world, and we can be part of that shift. So you guys, oh my God, I did it in 15 minutes. This is great. Next time is going to be like 3 weeks out at once. And just a heads up, the next Mercury portal opens around Thanksgiving. So we will be talking about that and prepping for that. If you can believe it, like it's coming already. Like we just went through one and had the ripple effects of Venus going through. And I hope all of you have gotten nice validation that you did some great work over August and September. And there's more to come. I see a little more expansion, a little more learning something that you need. So if there's some kind of hole that you need to fill, you can't fill it right now, but I think that opportunity is coming potentially through like late November, December, and into January. So there we go. All right, you guys, any questions, or are we good? Okay. All right. Well, have a wonderful day, you guys. And I will see you all later.
Thank you.
I hope you feel prepared to move easily through these next 2 weeks. Remember that your perspective on the upcoming changes makes all the difference. And as you think about who is going to be in that little boat with you, having people who bring out your optimistic side is always a help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.